Hi everyone, and welcome. Thanks for having us here. We're really excited to be here and very happy to be partnering with Rakuten. It's a big step in Spartan's history, and we're excited to be here today to tell you a little bit about Spartan and to tell you a little bit about how you can apply the Spartan principles to your own life, to your own careers, to really push beyond what you thought was possible. So I'm going to talk to you today about how Spartan was built as a badge brand, but really focusing on creating very strong communities. And I think a lot of you in the room know what it means to build a strong cohort and a strong community across your brands, across your different properties as a publisher. And then Joe will take the stage and talk to you on how you build that Spartan mindset and really apply it across your business and across your family. I would assume that not everybody here is familiar with Spartan, and if you are familiar with Spartan, you might have different perceptions. You might think it's an extremely hard, extreme brand, an extreme sport, and frankly, I had that same thought prior to joining Spartan. When I first started speaking to Joe years ago, he always told me about the incredible things that Spartans were doing, the amazing ability to push beyond, to be gritty, and to be, in some ways, very extreme. And I would think that that's what most people in the industry, in the audience, would potentially also think. And maybe from raise of hands here, who thinks that Spartan is something that you could potentially never do or accomplish? Like where do you, I see a few hands go up, but better than I thought. So a lot of people probably think they can do and complete a Spartan race. So personally, I thought I wasn't fit enough. And professionally, I thought, Spartan is more of a niche brand. And it's probably, I won't be able, with my background from interbrand and corporate branding, maybe wouldn't be able to add so much value. And then one day, Joe sends me a video. It's an Apple advertisement from the Hello Apple campaign for the Apple Watch. And in that advertisement, Spartan is prominently featured as one person that's really overcome a lot and pushed through races and changed their life. I immediately called Joe and said, that's amazing. Apple, one of the biggest brands, is leveraging Spartan stories in their advertisement. Can't go better than that. How are you using those stories in your own communications? And he said, you know what, we get thousands of those. We don't really use them. And that's when a light bulb went up in my head. And I really said, that is really, there's a huge opportunity for you to leverage those communities and leverage those stories. And it's not really just about focusing about the race and the physical extremeness and the physical overcoming of challenges, but it's about building a motivational brand and leveraging those thousands of case studies where people have changed their lives. We very quickly set up a separate email account, and I said to Joe, forward me all these transformational stories. I really want to see what people have to say. And I learned that Spartan is a storytelling machine. There are just hundreds of stories that we get every day through user-generated content, through all of our different ambassadors in the field, where people share their stories across all abilities, across all ages, and they really want to share that. In this day of social media, people want to share their stories, and they want to show and encourage their friends to potentially follow the same journey. So taking a step back, how has Spartan built such a strong badge brand? What does it take to build a badge brand? So I'm going back to 2001. Joe just left Wall Street. He started doing a lot of extreme endurance events. The numbers of participants were much smaller than what we're seeing today. Spartan has about 1 million people each year participate across 250 events in 42 different countries. At the very start, Joe saw a few thousand people show up, but he really set the standard for one of the most difficult organized challenges, and it gained a lot of press interest. So what he did is he really built a very authentic and core brand. And he made sure that he didn't sell out from that authentic and core brand. The issue was that while he didn't sell out on the brand, he also didn't sell out on the races. So the numbers weren't as big as one would have needed to run a very successful business. So in 2010, Spartan then opened up a lot more races and basically looked at the market in terms of what works for all, everybody that wants to just come in and try, what are the products that we can offer, And then how do we build that pyramid? So the idea was have more entry-level products for the non-extreme people, and then quickly grab market share across all international markets. Every market that Joe actually physically moved his family to open up, he was greeted with the same response. People would say, it's not going to work. This is a different culture, a different market. The US brand, the US positioning is not going to work. And he has yet to find one market where personal transformation and motivation and being supported by a really great group of like-minded individuals doesn't resonate with that market. So very quickly, the brand grew across 40 markets, and very quickly we saw the numbers rise, and we constantly saw that motivational content, the user-generated content, being shared by our users. And that brings me to today, where we are more than just a number of races and a great number of people crawling under barbed wire and sharing that on social media. We're really a philosophy and a mindset. And just to give you an example, that philosophy and mindset quickly took over my household. My kids started doing Spartan races. Once I joined, started doing Spartan races, and I've done 3 so far and just signed up for a trifecta where you commit to doing a sprint, a super, and a beast in 1 year. So when I stub my toe or when I complain and have something hard that happens, my 6-year-old daughter says to me, Mom, Spartan up. So that mindset has really taken over our family, where the kids feel you can just work through that, anything is possible, and once you see what's difficult and you overcome that difficulty, they feel empowered. So that's where I really see my opportunity in coming in with a more big brand background, looking at Spartan and saying there is an opportunity to really introduce that mindset across all different households in the US and globally. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for motivation, and they're looking really for a way to get that inspiration across their communities and from different brands. So we created platforms that are connecting people 365 days a year, digitally as well as on the ground, while we still always stay core to our roots. We have a pro team now that's really driving the obstacle course racing sport, and we're looking to establish Spartan as an Olympic sport. And with also the support of Rakuten and having great partners like Rakuten, we're able to announce a $2 million prize money across 6 different international championships this year. So the core, the extreme part of Spartan still is very much in existence while we're building out a broader pyramid of our product offering. So always important that we have an entry-level product. We have entry-level products, as you can see here. SGX coaches are trainers that you can work with that convey the Spartan mindset and the different Spartan kind of moves that we think you can work out anywhere. Anyone can work out and get into physical shape. Spartan stadiums, for example, across all great stadiums across the country and international, you can have a 3-mile race and really get to know what the Spartan mentality and the Spartan community is, while still keeping what you see on top with the helmet, the Agoge and the Spartan Ultra. Those are still races that every year set Guinness Book of World Records and that will break even the strongest people. And that's where Joe operates incredibly well with thinking of new challenges all the time. But it's important for us that we innovate across all these different levels and that we bring in 50% new customers every year. So we're always thinking about tweaking. What does the next cohort, what does the next group of people really want from this product? And one thing we're incredibly proud of is that our racer group is truly co-gender. So we're striving towards almost a 50-50% male and female ratio, and we're constantly looking on how we're bringing in more women into this very motivational mindset and into this very motivational sport. So building a brand one community at a time is really what I've been focused on. And with the help of Rakuten and looking at data and like really targeting people and identifying how are these segments different, we're able to really focus on this in a very segmented way in 2019. What you see here is not only our products. At any point you come in, You can start at the beast and still get to an ultra. So there's always a level up. Once you do one race, we gamify it and there's more things for you to do, but you can start at any point doing the spectrum and step up. But what's important is that each of those cohorts, the same way as how Spartans started with the more extreme ones, has a very unique set of commonalities and identifiers, and those are things that we really learn, and those are things that the community shares with us, and we listen very carefully. We tap into different social platforms by community. We develop very specific content for those communities. We reach out to a broad range of influencers by each community, because as you know, they are all different. Some span the entire spectrum and others are very specific. We also look at new ways of gamifying. Somebody that is not used to working out is less likely to want to be as competitive as somebody at the top of the spectrum. And then also developing merchandise for a badge brand, that's very important. People want to see, they want to share that they're part of this community. When you look at engaging this authentic community, it's really not just in developing products and tapping into the right people. It's this mix of being on the ground, which, as many of you know, is expensive. It's very labor intensive, and it is hard to measure, but it really gives us the ability to meet our customers on an ongoing basis. So we do that as much as possible. We structure workout tours. We have a van that drives through the countries and sets up these free pop-up shops that people can work out. We get thousands of people showing up for free workouts. We have obstacle tours where people can come and experience the obstacles without committing to a race. We have people that visit our gyms, or visit gyms all across the country. We do leadership events, like a TED Talk, where you can bring your entire staff, company, and experience some inspirational talks similar to what Joe is going to talk about in a little bit, but also then you go on the course together as a team. We have a huge social army. We have thousands of people all over the country that spend their weekends connecting and telling people about Spartan. And we have a large network of certified trainers that really apply the Spartan mindset. And then digitally, equally as important, we have over 6 million people, and we constantly change up our content and engage with those people, and not just from the brand, but we have ambassadors that go out and communicate with the people. So what's the one commonality that really, I believe, built and is the key success factor for Spartan? When I was at Interbrand, I did a lot of brand valuation, and one of the key factors in brand valuation is to look at the purchase decision driver. Why does somebody make a purchase decision? And if you think about it, the more you are in the field where you're undifferentiated, where you're selling on price, where you don't have an emotional connection, the less likely the customer is to come back. So the one thing that Spartan really has is that emotional connection. That is, in our mind, the key to success at every level of the Spartan pyramid. Spartan connects with the community on an emotional level because everything is about your own transformation. Spartan doesn't transform you, yourself transform you. And the good thing is, with that, we don't really have to put lipstick on a pig from a marketing perspective. So when I think about, just to give you an example, the Valentine's campaign that we just did, rather than making up a slogan and picking images and shooting it in a studio, we just looked through all the submitted images that we get on a daily basis, the stories. We said, who has met their significant other at a Spartan race? And we got stories and videos about people getting engaged, people getting married, people meeting people at races or at events. So we used that for our Valentine's campaign, and it was very successful because the community wants to see what's happening and wants to be authentic. So I want to show you a little video just to show who Spartan racers are and what they say about their own motivation of joining a Spartan race.
I just didn't think I had that kind of body where I could do these obstacles or do these runs, and then since I've done the Spartan race, I know I can do it. I know that I'm strong, and you can do anything you put your mind to.
There's a tangible thing there, like there's a goal, like I want to go over that 8-foot wall.
Midway point of the race, I started crying because I couldn't believe I was back. You know, I thought my Spartan racing days were over.
Well, I started my Spartan journey, I want to say 3 years ago, and it was one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. I learned so much about myself.
So we started collecting these stories and sharing them with our community because we feel like if you see somebody that looks like you, if you hear a story that you relate to, you might want to venture on that journey. You might want to adapt the mentality and really think that this is a possibility. And that's really what made Spartan into a badge brand. We really think that the ability to feature these stories and to really bring that personality out has brought us to where we have over 10,000 people with tattoos that post their tattoos on social. We have so many people, a vast social sharing community. After every race, people share. Any call we make where we say, share your stories, they send it in. And then the merchandise is very important. The badge brand means that when you see somebody that you think identifies with the same thing, it's very easy to approach them. So every time I sit on a plane and somebody has a computer with a Spartan sticker on, or I have my computer, it's very easy to make that connection. It's very easy to talk. So that's really where I think Spartan has a very long way to grow and can really bring more of these stories to life with a very strong content strategy that we're working on right now. And that's what's really next. I feel that we started off as an event company. We have 1 million people a year going through these events, 7 million people in our community, but we're really in the business of inspiration and motivation. And the goal of Spartan is to create these platforms for personal betterment that help people learn the Spartan philosophy and that encourage them then to really take on that journey. And the goal is to sprinkle a little bit of Spartan into everybody's life, while we still stay very true to our core and always cater to the customers that have really helped build the brand from starting. So just in conclusion of sort of my section here, the key learnings in terms of building a badge brand, and if there are a few things that we'd want you to take away, is number one, always stay core to your mission. Never really compromise on your brand. And Joe has done an amazing job with multiple sponsorship opportunities of brands that weren't 100% aligned and saying, no, that's not where we want to go, that's not who we are. So staying core to your mission and your brand is number one. And then always really engaging your cohort and really listening and understanding and segmenting the customer and being very specific about what people want and how the brand fulfills that promise. And then the last one, which is probably from a marketing perspective, the hardest is we cannot control the message. In the end, the brands that are strongest are those where the customer markets for us. And we're in a lucky position that Spartan has customers that are going out, that are really spreading the word, and that are bringing people in. We have one team captain that brings in on average 10 of their friends. And then those people that continue bring in 20, 30 people over their lifespan and always motivate. And that's just in terms of signups. There's people that spread the word. And when I say spread the word, I'm talking about the Spartan philosophy and the principles that Spartan is built on. And that's what Joe Sena established. And I want to bring on Joe, the CEO and founder of Spartan Race, who's going to walk you through these fundamental principles of how we build Spartan, but also how everybody can apply these principles to their lives and their career.